Welcoming to Managing Life 101, where if you don't manage your life, it's going to manage you. Today we're going to talk about something that I know is dear to my heart, dear to your heart. And I'm talking about it with my best friend here because we're going to talk about managing your friendships. And what does that look like? It made me think when we started thinking about this and talking about this, it made me think of when I was in high school, which was a while ago, I must admit. But you know, it's such an awkward time in life when kids start to grow up and they start to develop friends. And as you start to develop friends, you don't always feel like, let's put it this way, I didn't feel like, oh, I really belonged in this friend group or that friend group. And ironically enough, I was actually in the quote, in crowd. This still happens. There's a quote, in crowd, out crowd, nerds, all these different labels, right? But in that crowd, I didn't feel as though I was good enough. There was something about within me that I didn't feel good enough. And I found that what I did is I always would gravitate to people that were less fortunate also. You know, like that quote, I would look at as less fortunate, whatever does that mean as I'm talking about it. Well, it really means that girls especially, and you can tell me from a guy's point of view, girls can be really catty, they can be mean, they can be jealous, and they can be not nice to each other. And what you learn through that is you start to learn about yourself and what it is that you want as a friend. What do you want in friendship? Now, there are different degrees of friends. You can have acquaintances, you can have friends, you can have inner circle best friends, and then you can have like my husband, you are my best friend, which I'll just kind of like throw in something here. When you're looking to get married, marry your best friend. Somebody that is absolutely, you get along so well with. Here's the deal, but you want to have sex with, okay? You want to marry your best friend, but somebody you want to have sex with. Yeah. So, friendships, you know, high school friendships, college friendships, young adults. To this day, as a grown woman, I sometimes still struggle with friendships because sometimes I am in a little bit of a clash with a friend. And how do I deal with that? Now, I've narrowed it down pretty well on what's important to me. What's important to me is honesty. What's important to me is trust. What's important to me is faithfulness. Humor. I love humorous people. And open-mindedness. Those are just 5 things that are part of my value system that I want to be able to have with my friend. And then I want to be a good friend. Okay, what? I know it's a second. Tell me what do you want?
High school, I have no friends from high school. None. I certainly remember them. I remembered who I hung out with then. But you change so much over the years that your friends drift away. And then new friends come on board. It's just like that throughout life. Now, serving in the military, especially going to war, that's a completely different thing. And I'm still in contact with 4 or 5 of them on a regular basis, 55 plus years ago. And one of them we talk weekly. And another buddy of mine that was in Vietnam the same year that I was there, we weren't serving together. We talk every day, every other day. And friendships are just like that. In my life, my closest and best friend is Susan, without a doubt. Guy friends, I have a couple that I'm super close to. And I have other friends that if I don't talk to them in 6 months and I call them, it's like there's no time that's passed. It's kind of like, good. You know, and that's a super friendship. That's a great friendship. But close, intimate friends, Susan and a couple of guys, and they're both my age, and we both are ex-military, and because we have that shared commonality. Excuse me. Years ago, when I had my business, I bought this other guy's business, and in buying that, I gained Lance. Lance was his helper. So I said I would take over, I would hire Lance to be my helper too. Now, Lance has Down syndrome, and he was a funny, happy guy, and but he did require you to keep your eye on him when we're working, because you don't want him to get in. Anyway, it just required supervision. And he was very funny. I made him my assistant manager. I got him business cards and made him my assistant manager, and which he totally loved that. I mean, he loved, and like if we had a job that night at 10 o'clock at Kroger, he would call me at 6 and say, "I'm here, Jim. I'm ready to go." And I just say, "Lance, okay, you're super early. I'll be there at 10, and just, take it easy." He says, "No problem, Jim." He says, "Yeah, I'm good." And he was just a very loving soul of a guy, and I loved him in my own way. And I'll never forget, one time I got a call from Albertsons Market, and the manager said, "Your assistant manager is here, and he tells me that I should use you guys for cleaning the sidewalk in the dumpster area." And I said, "Yeah, okay. Well, what do you think about that?" He says, "He did a good job. Yeah, you can come do that." I said, "Thank you so much."
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from Lance, because Lance would never stop talking. Never. If you're around him, he's talking. Even if we're working and I'm here and he's 20 feet over there, he's still talking to me. And in the beginning, I'm saying, what? Lance, stop. And then after a while, I would just smile and nod my head and give him the thumbs up and just acknowledge him, because that's just Lance. It's just the way he was. And for 7 years, he was my assistant manager, until my business grew to the point that I had to have actual people that I didn't pick up at the group home and then drop off after, that had driver's license and could drive a truck. And that's just the way it was. But Lance was a friend of mine, and I still have
It's so sweet.
great feelings for him,
That story about Lance is so sweet, because what that is it points out to me that there was kindness. Kindness is an important factor too. I really look for someone that's kind. I look for a good attitude. If I'm going to be friends with somebody, I want somebody that's got a great positive attitude, not negative. Kind, a great attitude. Someone that doesn't relish in gossip. Oh my gosh. Gossip can drive you crazy, because see, what happens with gossip is it's like the devil's little tool that gets in there, and all of a sudden, before you know it, it has hold of you. And now all of a sudden you're gossiping. You don't want to be gossiping. For women, I don't think it's as much for men, but for women, that is a hard thing to break. And you have to be intentional. I also look for, in my friends, someone that is intentional, that has intention to make time to spend with me. Because that's the kind of friend I want to be. I want to be intentional. I want to let you know that you're important to me. Yes, that was Sheena letting us know that we're important to her. She's our dog friend. Yes, besides our little four-legged child. Bye-bye, girl. But friendships are something that you cherish. You don't have to have many. If you have a couple people in your life that have your back, you are rich.
Another thing is, friendships should always be reciprocal.
Yes, that's good.
You shouldn't be the one that's always calling them.
Right.
Always doing for them, always going to meet them.
Right. Always paying for everything.
Reevaluate that.
Yeah. Look at that.
And even have a sit-down talk with that friend if you see that as the friendship, the ins and outs of the friendship is that it's always you that's maintaining the friendship, and you don't want that. After a while, you get tired of that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's worth having that conversation with the other person to establish boundaries, I guess
Yeah.
you'd say,
Oh, that's really good.
and parameters
Yeah.
as to what the friendship looks like.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I don't always want to be the one that drives. I don't always want
Right.
to be the one that's calling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No. And so that's why I think it comes down to you just have a couple,
Yeah.
a few max close friends.
Yeah. That you develop over your life.
Yeah.
And I loved when you said at different stages, because we do go through different stages in our life. We go from, when I use the example as being in high school, you know, and then I graduated and was in college, and then I got married the first time, you know, and when you get married, you have different friends. Here is a constant. I had one best girlfriend for 43 years before she died. And it broke my heart when she died. She had cancer and passed away. But her friendship meant everything to me. I mean, we were like sisters. Absolute. I didn't have a blood sister, but I had her. And you see, we chose each other. And we were comfortable with each other. Another thing that's important in friendships is it someone you're comfortable around? Or is it someone that you walk on eggshells around? Personally, I don't want to walk on eggshells. And if it's someone that I walk on eggshells around, then that's something I have to take a look at. Why am I still a friend to that person? And sometimes there's confrontations that you do have, that you let them know that this is something that I feel really afraid to talk to you about, and see how they receive it. You see, when you start to have these intimate, real conversations with people, you'll start to see who are your friends, see how they respond to you. So there's so many levels, so many types of friends, and so many, what do I want to call it, really stages that you go through in life. You know, we have grown in our lives in different ways, yet we came together to become really good friends. And we had shared value systems, you and I. And what's really important is, where do you want to see your life going? So I want to be a good friend, and I want to make sure that I'm a good friend to you. I have girlfriends. I want to make sure I'm a good friend to them, that I spend time with them. Do I call them up and say, I'm really thinking about you and I just wanted to say hi and see how your day is going? Do they call me up and do the same thing? And you know what else is really cool? You can have friends of different ages. You know that Jim and I are blessed because we love young people. We have friends that are in their late teens, in their middle 20s, in their middle 30s, in their 40s and 50s, all different ages, that we really, like the young women that we've mentored over the years. Oh my gosh, we just talked to one yesterday who's our friend. You know, for like 8 years, we've seen her grow up. And she wanted to talk to us. She called us. She let us know she and her husband are pregnant. So awesome. So they share part of their life with them. That's what we want, is to share their life. So this is how you manage going through life, because you're going to be associated with different friends. When I was drinking, I did not have good friends. I did not choose good friends when I was out before I got sober. So you want to take a look at, how does somebody live their life? Do you admire who they are and the choices they make? Do you feel pressured to make those same choices? Or are you enough of your own person? Have you found out who you are to be able to say, no, that doesn't work for me? God, I'll tell you, God is the number one thing in your life. I remember as I got sober and started developing my relationship with God, I started talking to God as my best friend, because it was explained to me, like, well, how do I really get to know God? And my sponsor said to me, well, how do you deal with a best friend? You know, what do? You have conversations and you go and talk to them. And then you listen to what they have to say. Mm-hmm. So I remember praying on my knees, and I would talk to God and say, God, you are my best friend. You are someone that I trust with everything. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you everything because I know it's safe with you, and you will give me what I need to know and do in order to become better. Mm-hmm. It was like helped me resolve issues and problems in my life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh, so awesome. That's what I really want for anybody we mentor, is to help them learn what it's like to be a good friend and to choose good friends in your life. Because they will come along. But it's also teaching you. Everybody will teach you. I loved how you talked about how Lance taught you.
Sure.
Taught you the patience, taught you to have just some fun.
Well, I mean, even in my close friendships, like there's 5 kind of must-haves.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to have a relationship with God.
Yep.
If we're going to have a close friendship, they have to have a relationship with God.
Yep.
We have to share the same values in like drinking and drugging, and no, none of that. And that's important. And just how they treat people. If I'm out with them and they're rude or condescending to the waitress or to the gardener or to anybody who's waiting on them, I don't want to be around people like that. And we're not going to have a friendship.
No. Yeah.
And even work years ago, like when I would go on different work situations, when I cleaned cranes in San Bernardino, all the workmen there were buddies of mine.
Yeah.
And we would laugh and joke and talk, and they always took care of me. And one time I'm 60 feet up in the crane in my like a bucket lift, cleaning this giant crane, and one of the hydraulic hoses breaks, and it's going spewing this hydraulic fluid everywhere. And I had a key up there, and I turned it off so it wouldn't, continue to pump hydraulic fluid. And the boys came running over to the truck, disconnected that hose, went in the shop, made up a length of hose, pressed fittings on the end, put the hose back on the boom truck, and poured in hydraulic fluid, and I fired the thing back up and carried on. And the whole thing took less than 20 minutes, And when it was over, I said, hey, thank you so much for doing that for me. I really appreciate that. And they said, no problem, Jim. And I said, how much do I owe you? And one of them, I'll never forget this, he said, ain't my money. And I laughed, and I just thought, no. I know what I'm going to do. Like they had a filling station there with diesel pumps, like a gas station, for all the yard trucks that hold the containers inside the yard. And it was filthy. So I cleaned that. I spit shined that fueling station.
I love that.
So that I could feel good about myself in the fact that I repaid the company, because it was the company, that like they gave me their time, the hose, the fittings, the hydraulic fluid. I'm going to make sure that the company, which sponsored that, got paid back.
So
I had to maintain my integrity in my friendship.
Right.
And because it's a friendship between me and the company, they hire me, they pay me well, and I'm going to do a good job for them. And every friendship, every relationship has a give and take.
Yes.
And you want to be that friend.
That's right.
That's accountable and count onable. They can count on me.
That's
If
good.
they called me and said, Jim, we have this issue with this crane, it spewed hydraulic fluid over the place, we have to get it cleaned, I'd come out there and do it, And it was the same with all the customers that I had, especially with spills in the parking lot,
Yeah.
They want you there right now, and I would show up and do it. And that's friendship on all levels and any level depends upon your integrity as a man or woman.
Yep.
to be that person you want to be friends with.
Yeah.
So
I want to leave you because I think this, I love this when we talk about friendships. It is an always evolving and growing part of your life. So here is something to take a look at. Write down what you want to see your friend to be. What do you want in a friend? You write that down as though, oh, I'm going to create this perfect friend for me. Write it down. Take a look at it. The things that you wrote down, are they things that you currently do in your life? Because if you want a good friend, you must learn to be a good friend. So don't always have the expectation that, oh my gosh, they should do this and they should do that, and they're not doing this and they're not doing that. That will drive you into insanity. You will never have a good friend. But look at how they live their life and just create. When you write these things down, I also believe, we both believe in these affirmations. And you could even create an affirmation if you don't have a friend now, or you are confused about who your friend is. Say, God, please send me the best friend that's meant to be perfect for me, that I can be a friend to and they're a friend to me. So we leave you with managing the friendships of your life are just as important as any other area of your life. Because if you don't manage them, they will come in and manage you. Bye-bye.
bye.